Charlamagne should not be in a position where he has to be the poster child.
But I don't want to be a black person pontificating on a hill about black people to a bunch of white people.
Candace Owens, all them other black talking heads, the whatever twins, they don't have black audiences. They have white audiences.
I don't think people actually expect to get news from black people. Like, it has to be news with a laugh on the side.
A lot of us have become lost in the sauce with conflating being intellectual with being a contrarian.
With black people in media, since the inception of mainstream media, we have been limited in how our stories have been told.
Okay.
You know what the Shade Room say about Haitians, don't you?
What they say?
Rebecca ready to fight?
Look, what they say. I'm a South Florida Haitian at that. What's up? What they say?
No, that's honestly a good place to start. The Shade Room is probably a good place to start.
Oh,
because
God.
That's it, stop.
I think it's the start. You feel me? I think it got to be the start because they have figured out a way to make themselves seem always already cool and like they got good intentions, but they really push the misinformation. And we always know based off of how they write about political issues or how they start talking about gender and sexuality. They be really like engagement forming.
Absolutely.
Shout out, hold on. We got to let Foreign start. Foreign just dropped the video about them last week.
Yes.
Yeah, just last week, I touched on that, and I disguised it as conservative propaganda. And you got a Trojan Horse your way in because the white people, they click on black conservatives, but the black people, they click on Shade Room. So what I've discovered about the Shade, I just try to figure it out. I'm just like, what is it about us that when we congregate online, it got to be like this? Why does it have to be packaged in this way? Why we have to come with this much amount of heat for the homophobia when it comes to anything pertaining to anything outside of the canon of what society needs to look like? Blackness, for some reason, is surrounding it in the taint, in the gooch of the discourse. Like I talking about where the sweat settles. That's what they're talking about. Like they just circling the drain of it. And I realized that it's not only us. Like, so first off, right off the bat, we got to acknowledge the fact that journalism in general is in the pits. This is not the Walter Cronkite era. And the fact of the matter is that as journalism has taken a nosedive, New York Times, even the best of journalists, BBC, all of them taking a nosedive, the black representation and black journalism will always get it worse as we do with any brunt of any type of social phenomena that's taken a downfall. We will get it the worst because of the fact that we have historical oppression and subjugation on our side to make it worse. So it's going to take, if Fox News is shit, you can only imagine what the black Fox News can look like. And that's a shame.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess that's I'm trying to figure out why these things are so popular amongst us, right? Because we do have sometimes I feel like there's a rising conversation of people talking about the state of black media, with it being the Shade Rooms, the Hollywood Unlocks, the Spiritual Word, these being the places that people are going rather than journalists or news outlets or like informed or political commentators. They want to get their politics and serious and socio-cultural information from these blog and sites that are literally. And I'm wondering why that is, because we have the essences, we have places, but when you look, they're not being supported and financed in the same way. They're not getting a fraction of that kind of engagement or money. And so why? Shout out to Philosopher Noir. Is it Philosopher Noir? I don't know how to say his name. Yeah, that's how you say it.
Yeah. That's
who I had been hearing about Afro-pessimism a little bit, just dabbling in, being an intellectual, but I had never really dived into it. I still ain't dived into it a lot, but he gave me like a good primer that really made sense of a lot of things I was trying to figure out with like our representation and specifically the way these social media sites are able to manipulate us so effectively and our lack of counter products. There's a Fanon quote that I just looked up because I couldn't remember where the fuck it came from. Where he's like, the oppressed will always believe the worst about themselves.
Yes.
And that I think is a key ingredient to how this all works, because I just finished recording the videos, come out probably early next week, or B-sides where I'm talking about Joe Budden interviewing Candace Owens. And I have to get into a little bit, like, I'm a little frustrated that, like, some people looked at a picture of Joe Budden and Candace Owens and said, black men always be chilling for the Republican Party. And it's like, y'all, he next to Candace Owens. You don't got to be a gender issue in the moment. She's right there. But it's indicative of, like, reflexively, when we see Negroes acting a donkey, that's like a natural, like, yeah, that's what we do. And when we see our content, not to put us too high up on a pedestal, we get labeled as intellectuals and anomalies and outliers. We can't be representative of the same community. And it's because these media companies it's because our post-traumatic slave syndrome, whatever buzzwords you want to call it, the way blackness feels and thinks in this country and worldwide is more ready to accept nonsense from the shade room than it would be if it was the exact opposite. You know what I'm saying? And that, to me, is what it comes down to, is that consuming negative images of blackness is natural in this country. It is what we do. It is who we are, according to our history and the history of how media has depicted us. And, like, that's hard to fight, you know, on an individual level.
But I think Foreign said something important though. I feel like it's something to be unpackaged about how that Trojan Horse come in and how a lot of black media is really served to us under the guise of entertainment. To me, I think the presence of black media is a double-edged sword. We can acknowledge that the reason why we got this shit is because the way that mainstream media used to depict black people was very, you know what I'm saying, insatiable, facetious, bad, anti-black, parasitic. And we can acknowledge that even the black mainstream medias did their way of showing the black experience by usually just showing, like, the more upper class, more famous, more rich. And I think that's the reason why a lot of the old school black medias then fell off. You feel me? But I think the double-edged sword is because that we already exist outside of, like, the normalized way of perception and how we usually being perceived. I think we tend to fall for bullshit on how we perceive because we already are, I feel like, divorcing ourselves from, like, the legitimization, like the way that mainstream media legitimizes particular narratives, because we feel like the narrative is always anti-us. So then when you mix that little FD, you know what I'm saying, with what Fanon said, it's like, yeah, to me, those black, a lot of these black blog sites usually serve a way for us to believe the most fucked up things about ourselves under the guise of entertainment.
So I'm a journalist. I have 2 degrees in journalism, and I know. I graduated from the #1 HBCU in the nation. Shouts out to FAMU. But I say that to say the way that we were taught journalism, I went to a black university, the way that I was taught journalism, it's interesting you say that, Conscious, because even in the teaching, right? The way that I, in digital media, I would have never been taught to do it the way that I do it now. We have more of a choice in what we want to cover, how we want to cover it. We will give you the facts, of course, and then we will have conversations about it. We will talk about the truths as it pertains to black people having the conversation, which is, I love that's where we are now. But there is so much with this misinformation that does come on these quick sites, that the shade room, people will go there to get news. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes that's where I go get that's why I'll see the headline, but their headline be wrong too, where I have to go online and actually read through the story and get my information like that. People don't just read the headline, and you see in the comments sections instantly, which the Shade Room is a blog site, but they like to act like they're the first place to get news. Meanwhile, it's just the comment section, Twitter coming over to this comment section in the Shade Room, and they'll just have all this misinformation. Nobody goes to do any research, because the way that we're given this media, and it sucks for black people, it really does, because the way that we're giving the any type of news, they're going to be okay with just reading that, going on and having these really, where it should be really important conversations, going on and giving you nothing, literally not trying to have a conversation, not trying to push nothing. The Shade Room will post a story and never follow up on it. Never come back and follow up on it. This is not the way media is done. So I say that to say, as a journalist, I love where we're at now, where, like, in new media, we're in digital, we can have these conversations, we can have a feeling and an emotion. We can still give the truth. We can still give the facts. We can still give the stats, but we can still have a feeling as black people who are covering black news that may be real close to each and every one of us as black people. So I like that that's where we are. But I feel like the process, we have gone, so people are removing hey, we still got a process here in how we should be giving the news. We can't be just giving misinformation. We should be using words like alleged. We should be attributing where we're getting this information from. But now it's just out there like nobody's business. People taking credit for stuff. The misinformation is so bad that I will watch Black people argue about something and be so strong and wrong, and it be your own family members at the kitchen table. That's where we're at with it now.
And that's the thing is, I don't think it's misinformation. It's a lie. It's misinformation factually, but I don't think it's misinformation so much as it is a particular school of thought being pushed. Like we have this tendency to look at these Black blogs or Black companies and see them as like ignorant. You know what I mean? Like these are, or like these are small, like this is a couple of Black people that we know that have a couple of regressive views and don't realize blah, blah. But no, these are Black companies, corporations, and people who are peddling a specific thought, a collective thought, right? Like I think sometimes we look at it, it's like how around election time people will feel like they're losing messaging on the election stuff, but it's the fact that politics and news and entertainment are one and the same in our current world we live in, like across the board, right? Which is why people like Outrage bait, this engagement bait, and everybody is kind of pivoted to that. And so it's like all year you see all of these news outlets or these blogs and whatever pushing like literal conservative thought. It's not like a coincidence why those kind of politicians can do well with even Black people that you see on like the Shade Room or whatever have you. It's because they're all year being pushed that kind of thought, like their views on the LGBT community, their views on women, their views on this, all these different things. So it's not that they're pushing misinformation or that like they don't have access or they don't know that there's another side. They are making actual determinations to push this kind of right-wing agenda, I think, from a lot of these corporations. As far as individuals that are prominent in Black media, that might be, you know, some nuance to that on a case-by-case basis. But I think like the Shade Rooms in them, Hollywood, like the Shade Room, I think a Baller Alert, and all the other different places that people have the nerve to look to, like No Jumper.
Baller had to separate. They had to create a separate channel for politics, and it's called Poly Alert. Now I can't lie, Baller Alert does a better job in following up on stories. The Baller Alert itself, but they also push, like you said, there's an agenda. There's a certain type of information that they're going to constantly put out, and some of it can be very hurtful to We're already a marginalized community, but that thought that they think that all Black people have about, you know, the LGBTQIA plus community, about different people from different regions, because Black people are not a monolith, but they try to make it that way. But on their Poly Alert page, you'll see them follow along with a lot of day-to-day in politics at the White House, different things. But even what they post there is, you know, they choose different things as well there. But even there, you will see all the people on Poly Alert, they won't go and have those kind of conversations on Poly Alert. It will be like 5 comments sometimes, and I'm just you know, playing around with the numbers, but as opposed to the millions of comments that they'll put on a picture of what's that girl name, the one that keep on with the man that's in jail with the baby on the run. I don't know, but Krishan. Like they won't go and figure out what the hell is going to be going on today, what Trump just said, who's being elected. They won't go on Poly Alert, but they'll be under they'll wait for just a little bit of a headline that doesn't even really tell the story, and they'll go have that conversation in the Baller Alert section.
Yeah, but you know what I'll say is, like, y'all all do like content, right? I'm someone who's a viewer, and so for me, it's also remembering something that Conscious Lee said, which is like how it's a Trojan horse because they didn't start off as a news outlet, right? So the whole point of the infrastructure, what they built, was based on entertainment. Right. And now that they've built this captive audience, people push, like, you have all these people, how do you bring them into these other kinds of conversations? So it really is, the new stuff is like catchy commercials. That's how I see it. Like, Shade Room is not like, it's not BNC, right? Like, Shade Room is about people that are non-Black that act Black, Kardashians. It's about different celebs, like who's dating who, the mess around, like Krishan. They are running all the content for Zeus Network, the Tubies, and all that stuff, right? Yes. And then every once in a while, to seem like we are being responsible with the audience that we created, so we're gonna drop in a little political grenade. And as someone that does political work, the way that Shade Room translates our work is for entertainment. So it's they're not even pretending as if they are a news group. Like, they're not, they like want it to be like the white version of TMZ. I mean, the Black version of TMZ, but it's not the same level
But
And now
here's
they
the
did.
problem with the state of black media. TMZ don't get invited to the White House, but Baller Alert, the Shade Room, and all of them are there.
Exactly.
They have
Because
press pass. Yes.
They are?
They have the pictured.
Yeah.
They are.
Pictured at the White House. Press pass.
Yes.
Shade Room asset. But I want to really quickly like point out what you were saying,
did not know
Cassandra.
that.
You said that they have a captive audience. I would venture to say that their audience has captured them. So the Shade Room and the blogs alike are all symptom of this disease, really, of audience capture, where, as you said, like they build a particular foundation, and as another Yam had said, Churchill, the buildings that you build begin to shape you. You know what I'm saying? And then after a while, you build this building, and the people coming for a particular thing, you got to give them what they came for. Yeah. So after a while, the Shade Room has perpetuated a particular viewpoint, as Olay was saying, where it's this conservative dogma, and this isn't this isn't necessarily a grift, but this is just like their mode of speak, which is not very unorthodox inside the black community. It's not our fault. It's not our dogma, but it's not uncommon to see rather traditional socio views being put forth. And the next thing I want to go and put on is what y'all was saying, particularly about like how we, the content creators, especially the ones gathered here, are considered to be the smart niggas, you know, the book smart niggas, and that's it. We the talented tent niggas, right? So I mean, like you get it, and we. And let's not be mistaken here. We're doing the same thing as the Shade Room, as the same way, like in the same sense that we are trying to pontificate particular political views that they doing. They just doing it a particular way, a very sensational way. But you can't tell me my ass ain't inflammatory as hell. With every thumbnail, with every like couple,
make our content entertaining. We do
because we have to, because we're in the attention economy.
Because we have to.
Foreign with the do-rag and the glasses.
Yeah, I trying to look like that meme, you know, that motion meme. Yeah, it's all for that same thing. But the thing is, and this is what I think that Olay got some bars for all y'all really, is just like we want to find a way to bridge the gap between these communities, because the most Malcolm X said it, I put this inside the video. Malcolm X said it, the most dangerous nigga that you could find is the politically activated nigga inside the inner cities, or the politically active gangster, or the nigga that's in jail. That is the most political, that's the most dangerous danger to the white establishment. And we, you know, all of us learned niggas with degrees and things, we have unintentionally, and I got a lot of flack for this inside the video because I just don't know how to pass it well, but I had to go and tell them the way how it is. But we just don't know. We begin to alienate with our verbiage, with the things that we say, and the Shade Room is able to do it. They're able to get those niggas talking, get them active, get them at the family table, and shake, you know, tables and fists and do all that other shit. But we getting white people inside our comments politically active about black people business, and then we can complain talking about y'all in our business.
And you know, and I think to your point, what you were saying about audience capture, right, is the same thing kind of happens to us, because what I'll see very often, which what first started making me think about this conversation about black media, is everybody up in arms every time Charlamagne speaks, right? Mind you, a lot of what Charlamagne has been saying on this particular election run is a lot of what all of the leftists that they like have been saying, like the same shit, that Biden is not popular right now, is not a good candidate, he doesn't have the ability to, you know, he doesn't have that. And everybody hot, right? And I see a lot of like black people that I follow or in my world on Twitter, like,
well, now they mad at him over that the big bet comment with Reese Tisha.
Oh, right. And I'm gonna tie that. I'm gonna talk about that. I'm gonna tie that in. Let me get to that, because everybody was hot, and they're like, why the fuck is Charlamagne the person that they go into about black media or black politics? So this is not the black communities. This Charlamagne should be speaking on. I saw a lot of that energy, a lot of real gatekeeping, talented, dent ass nigga energy about who could speak on something. I'm like, how the fuck you want to tell someone with one of the biggest black platforms that they can't fucking speak? You know what I mean? They can't. Like, you think that they don't have a black community they speak to? Like, who are you to say that? They obviously, Charlamagne is a large black audience. It's not like this is somebody
the largest
talking to. Exactly. I'm not.
But we need more. But that's the problem. We need more. Charlamagne should not be in the position where he has to be the poster child for niggas. Should be in the position where he got to be the ambassador for niggas.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, I mean,
the thing that I wanted to, what I was thinking about with the audience capture is we have these kind of audiences that feel like it can only be spoken about in this issue. Like I'll see them curse Mark Lamont hell out for talking about some pop culture or whatever. Like you're supposed to talk about the smart stuff and they're supposed to be talking about that. And I'm like, now you don't understand why we're in a losing battle on messaging, because we are drowned out in terms of reach and numbers and stuff by the niggas that y'all only want over there, right? And like a Charlamagne character is at a disadvantage because he's trying to do like, okay, he created, Charlamagne calls it the nigga net, right? Charlamagne came up on the nigga net, created a whole huge audience. He's a huge figure, and he's tried to change throughout the years, change how his platform is, what he does, what he speaks to, and tried to become more like responsible and informed and political. And here's the issue, what I realized. There will be people our side, like his original audience, that audience capture, is constantly saying that he's done or he's ruined now because he's being too politically correct. He's not being, in other words, he's not giving them the shade room shit they used to love. And then you have our side of the aisle being like, you shouldn't be the one speaking on anything and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, we will literally, you have these audiences that literally are forcing you into harm. Because if you pick one or the other, even if you pick their idea that you should only be having the intellectual discussions in the intellectual way to the intellectuals, how many people do you reach? And then if you do the other side, like a Charlamagne, like the big back comment about Reese, I'm like, what's funny? We're all up in arms, and everybody is, and rightfully so, for all of the reasons why that is some stupid shit. But meanwhile, I'm like, that's probably, if comments like that don't get made here and there, his entire original audience or whatever, or the ones who actually tune into the Breakfast Club, are the ones who will tune out if they don't get that, because trust and believe, that's the shit that they're saying and want to hear. So it's like, I'm trying to figure out how we do.
He's trying to serve two masters, and that's the thing that is difficult, because people want a perfect version of the game. They want like a strike. I'm about to make a sports analogy. Baseball. Who with me?
Don't watch baseball, my boy.
They want computerized strike zones where there's no judgment involved, where it's a ball and a strike every time. And don't get me wrong, I ain't with the bit. I didn't the Reese thing. I like there'll be no FD content around that. But the big back thing is out of pocket, and the big back thing is only happening because that's reflexive to him. Yeah. It's like I gotta make the edgy Black Howard Stern comedy because that pays the bills. If it may be in between time, I can be critical of the Biden administration on the largest Black platform in America, and as awful of a dichotomy that is to require us to accept, it's the game we're playing in right now. And there is shout out to Mac and Murphy, who I don't know if he's American or British. He has like the most weird, I was born in America, but I live in England for most of my life accents. I be forgetting if he's like where he votes. But he was like, one thing that leftists do, like leftists attain status by implicating other leftists to be less left than they are. And that's such a bad habit we have, that we have like very minimal resistance toward it. Like that shit goes off every time. Like ContraPoints dropped the video yesterday, and I'm like, I give it about 72 hours before somebody says something negative about her video being about Twilight in the middle of what's going on in Palestine. And it's like, or maybe she was like, look, I've been working on this for 18 months, and this is what I do. But it's because it's an impossible game to play. And because we're so often focused on playing the game of the gamification of it, we're losing the actual game.
Yes.
We're losing the actual ability to educate and spread these ideas to the masses, which is one of the reasons why my content has gotten less overtly political. You know what I'm saying? And like I've spread and tried to amplify the really political people in my community, especially some of these babies that ain't worried about bills, ain't worried about being on no list. Like, yeah, go ahead, get in there. Me, this next video about wrestling.
No, but you gotta have that mix though. You gotta have that right. You gotta have that mix though, and especially because I feel like you said, with Black people in media, since the inception of mainstream media. We have been limited in how our stories have been told and all those things. And let me tell you something, in actual media, even mainstream local news, they'll do it like that too. They'll start off in the morning with, they'll make it softer, cuter, like, light. They'll end when you're watching your 6 p.m. news, that's where all the crimes are coming in or whatever the case may be. As a journalist, you should be able to do all of it. You should be able to talk about all those things. We should be able to have these conversations. We should be able to smile, laugh, not only hear about the negative things. And we should be able to have political conversations, bring on experts on our shows. We should be able to do all the things. But here it is. We will sit here and have shows like TYT. I have my own show, Like It or Not, which you have TYT, which does the same content, right? They started out doing the same kind of things. White folks, black folks, all in between will go sit in their comment section, let them literally steal black folks' content, in my opinion. This is my opinion alone. They'll go watch our content, take our talking points, go on there, and they're like, oh my God, these people are such allies for black people. This is why I love them. This is what meanwhile, we be on our shows, black, for us, by us, talking about our issues. And they be like, man, they just capping. They don't know this stuff. And what they have all these things to say, right? And then all these white people, now they in black business. And I don't know how I usually feel about that. I love the audience, mean it. But then now they're in, and this is what we're getting. This is my problem with the whole Charlamagne thing. You have the audience. You got your audience. When you did the political thing, people judged him. People were like, why they put, because at the end of the day, Charlamagne is somebody in media. He's been doing media for a long time. He knows this better than people who just grabbed the mic yesterday. He knows how to play the game. And he's working for both sides of the situation. He chooses, he knows when he's on the radio, how he gotta be. He knows when he's doing this show, how he gotta be. He knows how to play the game. My problem with that whole thing is everybody on the radio show saying the same thing, big bad comments, just hilarious as history. Same comments about marginalized groups, and you're partnering with her on your show, and you're partnering. This girl's already questionable. She said things about remember when she was on the airplane and was upset that a Middle Eastern person was on there. We already know that stereotype here in America with 9/11 and all those things, and she made a big deal about that. She said things to the LGBTQIA plus community, exactly misnaming folks, doing all of those things. And here she is, you're just big backing, and she's over there. She mad. There's an actual issue there. But all three of y'all saying the same thing. Not one of y'all can have a conversation. Not one of y'all. And that was my problem. That was my problem.
I mean, I feel like a lot has to be said about how within all of black media, and in certain instances within all the black community, a lot of us have become lost in the sauce with conflating being intellectual with being a contrarian. Yeah. So for me, I think that when we watching Shade Room, Baller Alert, all of it, it's always contrarian, and when it makes it seem like very edgy and make it seem like you're being given a dope ass hot take when really it's just some unethical, immoral shit that's coming at the expense of the fat, big back folks, of the ugly, dark skinned people, of the disabled motherfuckers, of the gay, transgender nonconformists. Like, it's very tropey, pathological that everybody believes that, okay, these are the people that it's cool. If you bored and you need a chuckle, make you a fat phobic, ableist, heteronormative joke. We all agree that if you need a little bit of entertainment or you need some clicks or some views, that those are the groups or the communities that it's okay for. And if you try to advocate for those communities, you are a problem. You being an intellectual, you being an elitist, you being an educated academic, you being a social justice. And to me, I think that's the double-edged sword about, to me, the triangular problem that we have here. Because to me, the issue is that we really are, to me, like getting at this elitist, classist issue when it comes to talking about the academy or talking from a scholastic perspective, and you're talking to, the mainstream, talking to the general public. And to me, that triangular problem is, black media figures out a way to meet people on the more default cathartic responses of bullshit.
But
we ain't meeting them there.
But you know what's the problem too? On top of that is the intellectuals, or our Twitter folk and our speakers and thinkers and commentators don't be honest with themselves, because this is supply and demand. Like, we engage it too. Like, it's not like people, if you go on Twitter, all the intellectuals are doing is pontificating and arguing mad about about the same content that they claim shouldn't be there, and why is this there? Because you're watching it. You know what I mean? Like it's like that. It can't be. We can't glide over the fact that the majority of folk, including us, are watching, still going to these places, still consuming it this way. Like we're in an outrage engagement, like where people prefer to be outraged. If you make content that doesn't it doesn't slam somebody or criticize something or come down hard or something, you do it. If you don't, I have a harder time on the internet when I actually don't be inflammatory than when I am. Or when I'm more strongly one-sided on something. Like if I in any way start, thinking about everybody, all sides, or blah blah, or you aren't that, you don't think no one bites. Nobody bites, so you'll end up being rewarded in a room full of 5 people, you know what I mean, trying to do the right thing or what you think is the the moral thing or the intellectual thing, or that no one's gonna watch it. You'll be in a room full of 12 people that say, oh yeah, you really are it. But
I was in a room full of 12 people for my speaking engagement. My first one.
But you're saying something right, Olay. I think also what we're all getting at too is it's harder for us. So when we try to do all of these, we try to be ourselves. Then we try to give y'all, the journalist, the straight ahead on News 20 at 5. Then we try to then we try to bring in people, have a key, because this is our personalities. I'm 10 people in one. I should be able to do this online. But here's the algorithm does not work in our favor as well. So we already have it where we're already Black. We're talking about Black content, especially stuff that they don't want to talk about.
Shit, they gonna demonetize.
Exactly. And then but it's not demonetized when white folks do it. I just don't understand. I don't get it. I don't understand it. But for some reason, when we do it, it's always flagged. But conversations that we're having, the algorithm doesn't want there to be more than one of us. So it has to be, like you said, somebody's going to have to be the poster child for all of these things. Do we want it to be Charlamagne? No. Do we want it to be these other? No, we don't want it to be, but the algorithm doesn't work in our favor when it comes to that. So what does work for Black content creators? If we get out here, like you said, like you guys were saying, when we're angry, we're some angry Black people, and the comments, and they be saying all these things, and it's terrible things about us in the comment section. Yet it's gonna give us a lot more views. People will start, fighting in the comment section, and I hate that energy. I don't want to bring that energy, but that's the one that we got to bring. We got to be mad, and then we got to have the people mad in the comment sections, and we have to that's the only way that they'll push us into the space for us to get views or whatever the case may be. But when I want to talk about the goodness of Black folks, what Black people are doing that are good news about them, baby, just expect 5 views. Just expect, they don't want to push those type of things. They don't want to allow us not to be a monolith, because we're not. They want us to just focus on terrible stories, terrible talking points, content that is made up about people going on dates and cheesecake factories. Those are actual things that make it bigger than anything else.
Yeah, man,
right?
We live in outrage culture, though. I feel like we live in outrage culture, and the sucky part about being a content creator is that you always have to negotiate how much you want people to be outraged by this content and how much you want people to be provoked into critical thinking, and recognize that sometimes them things be hella beefing with each other. You feel me? Or be in tension with each other. And to me, I think that's the triangular problem I was talking about. Is that as a content creator, I'm trying to educate and trying to get to the people that never had access to the classrooms I was in. I acknowledge, though, that them people are gonna be more entertained by fat, big Black comments. You see what I'm saying? Big back comments. You see what I'm saying? Or they're going to be more entertained by talking about, should your wife sit in the back seat or sit in the front seat? You feel me? So it's literally where you get caught up in doing like Charlamagne damn near, where you have to really pick and choose when you want to engage in this slapstick type content, and when you got to pick and choose when you want to be, you feel me, some when you want to have some substance. The last thing I say in this right here is that I hate quoting Winston Churchill because he was a goddamn colonizer.
Y'all in the quoting business today.
Oh yeah, hey, but what he says, but his shit about the buildings though, I think it's something to really think about in this virtual reality that we live in. Because the virtual reality that we live in, there's a building that was built that none of us had to say on it. We get to choose that building gets to position how we, you feel me, consume windows and doors, goddamn. But we didn't choose how that building or the algorithm was built. But it does dictate our thought process. It dictates, you feel me, what we see and what we thinking about, and it dictates how. What? It's just like it's the fucked up part about doing what we doing.
It dictates our whole expression. Like one of the things, me and Foreign talked about in the last joint I was on is like, and it's something I've told anybody that's asked me about making content. like YouTube does not like it when you diversify.
Yeah.
YouTube wants you to hit that same lick every video. And they want you to hit them same numbers with each video. And if you don't do that, it will penalize you and it will depress your content going forward. You have people in your comment section like, I didn't know you did a new video. Like, I done 3 videos. What are you talking about? And so like that is a big thing that, I mean, it's obvious we know this, but the question is, the solutions to it is that we don't really control our own narratives in media outlets, and even on YouTube where we can create independent platforms, it's still housed upon YouTube's and Google's recommendation system. So like I've had conversations with Mark Lamont Hill about like him building his own like, you know, system and his own platform on YouTube, and letting them know like, look, you can put this, and this here, but if you put, you know, you can put A, B, and C, but as soon as you get to X, you might have to start another channel, or you're going to be compromising A, B, and C. Because if you've built an audience around A, B, and C, the X people are not going to be here for that, and YouTube's going to penalize you for it. But on top of that, though, one comment I did in my video coming up, I was like, so Cat Williams was just on Joe Rogan, and doing this thing from what I heard. I ain't watched it, but the sound
heard some clips and it was like, ooh, shit.
Yeah, I knew it was coming. Like, Cat Williams been playing in barbershops, but that's another conversation. And I'm like, you never gonna see Mark Lamont Hill on Joe Rogan. You're never gonna see Mark Lamont Hill on Club Shay Shay. You know what I'm saying? Not to take anything away from the level of entertainment that Cat Williams provides, but that doesn't make him a person to interview about politics.
Yes, and that's the problem.
You can't until we can, either through some.
So what do you think, Jaro?
Right. Where's Ja? Like,
where's Ja?
Until we can do such a shift in like culture that we can claim more spots or rearrange the way people view who gets to speak on what, we're gonna constantly be in that proxy battle of whose voices should or should not be heard.
I think that last point, this goes back to something that Foreign said earlier. I don't think people expect to get actual journalism or the way that what we're experiencing. I don't think people actually expect to get news from Black people. Like it has to be news with, with a laugh on the side. I think this concept that, we use humor to like get over really bad things. And so what Rebecca was saying earlier, like, we're so used to the news caricaturizing us that the house that we're in, what is translated to us is caricatures. And so if y'all as content creators are not feeling this idea of caricatures, right, then people are dissatisfied, right? And
that's exactly what I keep thinking about, right? It's like this fight between what should be and what is, right? It's like that shouldn't be that way, but it is that way. And it's like just being stubborn about it, to me, I'm like, am I just kicking myself and the community in the ass? Because ultimately, I don't want to be a Black person pontificating on a hill about Black people to a bunch of white people. Like, I don't want to do that. And I recognize, unfortunately, because of how this has been, it's like, somehow you get classed as smarty nigga and you're for the whites. You know what I mean? Like, that's who's in your audience. That's who you're talking to. And then what happens is the same way you have to have an audience capture, you have an audience. In order to have an audience, you in some way have to serve them. Then you end up serving white people and having to serve them in this way that Black people find alienating. And then ultimately what you really want to do, because you're in the Black community, you source the same things as other Black people, you're trying to counteract a bad kind of messaging that you're outnumbered by with the shade rooms and all of this, and you can't do it because they're not listening to you, So then I feel like it brings me to what Form was talking about in his last video. How do we not be that? Like, how do we re-examine that? Like, maybe we are not communicating in a way, because in my mind, I had this conversation with AJ, and AJ was like, he made 2 points to me. One, that we alienate, that they immediately feel like they're not smart enough for the room, like they're not smart enough to be there. And so that's the first thing. And then the second thing, which I've been thinking about a lot, and I want y'all's thoughts because I don't know if I agree, but I agree with this part. He basically is like, the Black community has a lot of the reason why it's easy for the Black people to flock to these like kind of a lot of these right-wing figures. And I think also to FG's earlier point when you said the Joe Biden picture and the Candace one's like, why are people saying, oh, Black men always shilling for the Republican Party and stuff? It's because what I've realized is there's a really severe underrepresentation of Black men, especially intellectual Black men in any of these media spaces, independent or mainstream. So who they really see are a bunch of streamers and content creators and people who are on right-wing outlets, spreading right-wing stuff, bringing foolishness, you know what I mean, indirectly. And like you say, the politics and the entertainment are intertwined. So they see one, they think this is consistent with every other of these like hip-hop platforms and Black people and streamers that are spreading right-wing stuff. So even though Candace Owens is there, there's people barely see her as a Black woman at this point. She's divorced from her Blackness, and Black women as a general, there's a lot of us not speaking like that. So I think that's what happens there. But what was my original point? How I diverted? Lord.
So essentially, like, how are we going to get into a situation where we're not beholden to a particular audience and we could actually find some middle ground? And I wanted to speak to that real quick. Like, so first off, like, we've been talking a lot about the algorithm, and I mean, Unc know about this because there's some nebulous speak, but essentially, like, the algorithm is the audience. I mean, like, essentially that.
Place that word with audience.
Like we really, yeah, exactly. Switch that word with audience because essentially it will help us elucidate the issue. So you're right in a sense, especially that these mechanics are only a reflection or an extension of the biases that already exist in society. So it isn't that the algorithm is in itself biased, it's a machine, but the people that built it are. And the fact of the matter is the people that are using it also are. And I found this out the hard way because I used to like look through my comment section. I say, damn, where the niggas are? Because I just be scrolling in my comment section and be like, it's just white, LGBT, queer, trans, and just white. I'm more like, I ain't see no niggas. Like, where the niggas are? I ain't see no Black PFPs, no nothing. And I found out because I was trying to figure out, okay, how can I reach a more darker audience? And literally we did the research. Niggas ain't on YouTube, at least watching the type of things that we're making. They're not even there. So like what I was looking for was not even there. The way that we were going to have to go about it is finding a way to meet them in the middle. And that means that we got to be on Facebook. That means we got to be on TikTok. And that means that we have to go and package ourselves in a particular way because that's where they at. They on TikTok, they on Twitter, and they on all these other things. They ain't on YouTube like that.
And then the problem becomes the fact that you have audiences that look at you being there as a problem. Like when I remember, like when I had my Breakfast Club interview, I had people in my audience being like, "Oh, you didn't align me. Olay was up there and didn't check Charlamagne with all their whatever grievances they, you know." I think we fail to recognize sometimes that like. Our side has their extreme foolishness in a different way. Like they constantly want us to be out with the pitchforks, condemning people on you know what I mean? That's what they want us to do. We become like messengers for condemn this person that's not leftist enough. This one's that's up here enough. They did this. It becomes this accountability culture of just like attack everybody. There's no sense of like bridge building. You can't coalition, which is like kind of defeats the purpose of what we wanted to do, or at least what I wanted to do. I want more people to think like this, and you can't do it in the way that your audience tries to like fight you to say you have to do it, or they question your credibility, which reminds me of my second point of what AJ was telling me. AJ was basically saying that, you know, the right has a lot of the same views on the LGBT community, religion, women, all the bigoted shit, right? That the Black community often has an association with religion, and that he feels like a lot of the people on the left are not sensitive enough to that. Like we aren't thoughtful enough about how we engage that, or it's too dismissive or whatever have you. But I think that's only theoretically right. In real life and application, like you are not rewarded by any side for being middle of the road. Oh, I think what everybody and blah, blah, blah. It's just not true. You know, like the right is incredibly inflammatory. They don't win over their side by being thoughtful to what we're talking about or us or whatever. And the left doesn't reward us for that either. So
there's not a whole lot of like LGBTQ people consuming right-wing politics on some like, well, you know, they're kind of right about us. Like this, like it's not really an option for them, you know. And like most of their Black talking heads have wider audiences than we do. Let's keep it a buck.
Yeah.
Candace Owens, all them other black talking heads, the whatever twins, they don't have black audiences.
Yeah.
They have white audiences.
Yeah.
Their audiences are whiter than ours. Oh man, it's something I wanted to respond to that I thought was useful.
Thank you. I'm glad it's not only me who's old. Thank you.
You know.
That second point be, by the time you finish that first point, that second
okay,
point
boom. I got you. So here's one thing in response to like one of AJ's points that this doesn't make the point any less valid, but it's just something to think about. Class is impenetrable across racial lines. White people with education and money, they don't even want to touch they uneducated white peers. Them motherfuckers could die. Like literally. if COVID only, like the fact that COVID was mostly affecting like poor white people, the white liberals and leftists were like, good, all on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's the thing to think about. And the other thing, which is something I do that I've done maybe to my detriment at times, that I think all of us should be thinking about is sharing our platform with folks who are not as polished, not as up on all the talking points, not as credentialed, whatever, because the truth is I can never speak to an audience of, I'm never going to be able to capture the audience that we were just talking about it with shout out to Waving the Red Flag folks. Yeah. Like, I feel good about the level of black viewers I have now because I've worked relatively hard to like every time, like I'm gonna grab a couple more, I'm gonna put these little things in here, I'll make you a whole video, put Farrakhan on the cover, yeah, come through, right? So I do that, but I also understand that my bills are still greatly paid, especially when you talk about Patreon, by white folks. But like I just saw a Cam, what the hell Cam name? Some brother out here. And he just like as soon as I saw him, I was like, oh yeah, this is a dude I need to make sure. Is it Cam James? Shout out to Cam James. Shout out to John Lewis.
You gotta gaggle at niggas. You know that, right. Like I mean,
shout
like
out to Cam shout out to John Lewis. Shout out to
BP,
Lil Bill. Like you know what I'm saying? Like folks that they speak. I hope this doesn't come off wrong, but they speak shade room. They speak good because they're more connected to it and it's more natural to their presentation and how they get to their politics and their ideology. And that resonates more than I ever could. And so really we shouldn't be talking about how do we capture this audience. If we're really about the movement, we should be talking about how can we find people within that audience or within those communities to platform and empower to minister to their own folks. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, and that's the reason why I like short form content so much.
And like I feel like I do kind of speak nigga nat. You know what I mean? Like when I feel like I'm very, the Bahamian in me, very much so. Like especially if you follow me on Twitter, I curse people out. I do a lot of theatrics and foolishness, and what happens Olay. And what's crazy? It's not even the white people who give me grief. It's not that I have a black, like we all have a black audience, but I don't consider my audience black, right? The black people who are in my audience are very often, it's not that they themselves are talented tens, petite bourgeoisie ass niggas. It's that they have that sense of you. Like they think you're supposed to be that because like they've classified you as smart, a smarty nigga, and they want you to move in a particular way. And so it's them who are on your neck, like on my head, constantly trying to force me into a box that would make me unsuccessful, incredibly unsuccessful. But they're always like, that's who I get it a lot from. Like they'll be, oh, don't curse. Oh, why are your nails? Oh, this hair color. Why do you decide? Oh, your breast. Every weekend that I go out and I post a picture going out, I get old black women telling me this is not what they follow me for. They're unfollowing me, blah, 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 every weekend.
Because it's a scarcity thing, right? Like they feel like there's not that many of us, and because you've hit this level, they want to keep you in this role, and so you got to play that caricature role, right? And so this goes back to the thing that Foreign was saying is like we actually just need way more people to be able for the kind of diversification that people want us to be able to consume, but we don't have it. So then everyone kind of forces us into these roles that fit certain things. And then I would say the other thing about like the community and as you say, is like, I think part of the thing is that has been really difficult for me as someone who's not in content creation, but in politics, is this idea like, if I see the world this way and it makes sense, I don't understand if you're living in the same world as me, how you're not having the same kinds of conversations that I'm having. And the truth is, like, they are having similar conversations in certain ways. We might not be able to identify it. And then I think part of the reason why some of this inflammatory shit is so popular is because in their everyday life, because we are in the metaverse, like we're in this like virtual world.
Yeah.
Literally right now.
In the regular world, they can't talk like that all the time. So they get so excited when people are on platforms spewing this fucking hatred kind of shit that they know they will be written up for at work. So to me, on the internet is this playground where people get to be this avatar version of themselves that they're not showing up in their world, and they're not being held accountable in the same way. That's why they're not gonna run up on you, Olay. But they feel like they on you on the internet.
Let me
but
say
like
that.
one thing that's go ahead, Rebecca.
I want to be clear though. We all are professionals in what we do, right? Like working in law, working in politics, being content creators, journalism, whatever it else. We all are professionals in that. So there is a way that we should be carrying ourselves, but we are people too. Again, when I'm doing my work, I have conversations with Olay on the phone all the time about this. She sees me in all of me, like, right? And we talking about niggas. We'll talk about jobs. We'll talk about this. So there are ways that because we know what we know who the people in the shade room comments are. We have been the people in the shade room. We have those kind of conversations ourselves, but we are professionals too. So there's ways that we know how to carry ourselves, but also on Olay's personal page, right? She's not going to post the same thing that she posts on her YouTube page. But on her personal page, she can post herself with her titties out, having a drink with however she wants to. People are going to go on her personal page from coming from her YouTube or all those from a repost that a news station or a page has posted her. They'll go on her personal page, and because they saw a picture of her, they can't see her in her personal. They'll expect the expectations that they'll have of her, because you know why? Societally, the logic is the societal logic is that with Black women, with Black people, if they already view you like this, if you're on Mark Lamont Hill, if you're on if you're working on with the Hill, if you're working with NBC, you can't as a Black person show yourself like that into the world. No, I'm gonna throw my ass in a circle on my page. You'll see me grinding on somebody's son, when I'm at the Haitian spot, but you'll see me at the church and singing because I know how to sing. So you'll see me singing somebody's Christian song or whatever the case may be. And then you'll see me back on my show having very nuanced conversations surrounding politics. And I still will pick up some of the shade room stuff. I can do that. Yet we can package it and still be professional. We've done that. But they don't want us to be those people that can be like all of those things in once. We know how to be on each and every one of these things. They don't want us to be
But in real life, they don't let Black people do that either.
No, I don't. Yeah, that's why on the internet we are.
It's like both things are real. I'm not saying that's right, but it follows the same kind of like theory of like how people operate. And I think that's the thing where we're like this. I'm really interested in this thing that we're talking about in this virtual world that we're all operating in. It's like we can change certain rules, but some of those rules feel more sticky than others. And what does it look like for us to actually challenge that foundation in a different way? And do we even still have the time to do that?
Yeah, I think there's something to add in real fast is that what differs for my platform and y'all's is that on YouTube is really like my less successful platform. I'm more successful on Facebook. I'm more successful on TikTok. I'm more successful on Instagram. What I recognize is that the multifacetedness is what y'all getting at right now is that even when you put blood, sweat, and tears into making sure you cultivate certain narratives for niggas that's still in the hood eating sleep with them, and you cultivate narratives for niggas that's still trying to get PhDs or masters, you still get penalized for having that multifacetedness. If I went to my Instagram channel right now and showed y'all my follows and unfollows in the last 90 days, I usually don't do it, but I did it in the past couple of days ago, right? And what I found is that I've had 30,000 people unfollow me.
Cool.
At the same time, I've had 50,000. So I gained 20,000 people, right? But my point is that if I make a dope ass analysis about white supremacy and anti-blackness, niggas gonna eat that shit up. If I backdoor that shit with talking about how trans women is women, hey, them 10,000 motherfuckers that just follow me for making this dope ass white supremacist narrative, they unfollowing my ass. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that it's something to be said about how that triangular problem we use. And when you're talking about Charlamagne serving multiple partners, is that I know that when I get on Twitter, I'm very intentional about making sure I'm not just a serious nigga always talking about oppression.
Yeah.
I like to dance and be goofy sometimes. I recognize that just like what Olay getting is like, hey, some people will be mad. Like, hey, consciously, we came to you to hear about oppression. Nigga, how dare you be happy right now talking about this?
That ass.
Nigga, I came to you to be an attack dog. How dare you be cheeking up on motherfuckers? You ain't attacking nobody like that. You see what I'm saying?
Somebody told me this weekend, I tweeted about Love is Blind, and somebody really commented telling me, who cares? There's a Holocaust happening. Let's focus our tweets.
And see shit like that. Like I got over 6,000 videos on the internet on every single one of my platforms. You can go
find something on this issue, but here you are.
But they don't do that though. What happens is, Rebecca, even though you have 1,000 videos right now, you're talking about something that I think is persona non grata that should be deprioritized.
How can I center my feelings in this?
What?
Yes.
I swear to God, though. So it's like, for me, it's just like, I think that if I'm giving the black media the benefit of the doubt, it's one of the ways they have not been able to. I'm still trying to figure it out. I think it's one of the ways that you're trying to figure out what FD said, like what Charlamagne doing. You really serving multiple masters. You feel me? I'm serving multiple masters. I don't just make content for folks in the hood. I don't just make content for people that's educated. I don't make the content for working class people. I make content for all that. And I acknowledge that when I prioritize a particular socioeconomic background, the other socioeconomic backgrounds get pissed off. Or when I prioritize ableism, heteronormativity, misogyny, to me, that's the right-wing pipeline. The right-wing pipeline says that, hey, man, racism is bad, but we got to keep these motherfuckers in the closet. Can we agree on that? Okay. Fucking up children is bad, but if a conservative doing it's okay. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So to me, I'm seeing that these lines that if you, to me, it seems like if you go against the loyalty of heteronormativity or the loyalty of ableism, then you really get put on the things. I feel like Charlamagne tries to in Shade Room tries to do the do-si-do of being like, here go these people y'all don't give a damn about, attack them, but also here go an issue y'all might like. And the last thing I'll say is, people like the Shade Room gave us 3 updates on the Brick Lady. They gave us 3 updates on Roe. They gave us 3-4 updates on Roe. Those same platforms don't give us updates when they misquote and say that Biden gave all this funds to this and they really didn't. There are people in the comment section saying they didn't, but then they'll just delete that story. Shout out to my boy JJ Williams. JJ Williams showed me the receipts and got in their ass and showing like, hey, not only are y'all a part of the right-wing pipeline, y'all receive right-wing money. And that's the reason why y'all have such a conflict of interest in many different instances. And then they play back in this.
It's not an accident and it's connected. No. It's not just the posts. It's not just the posts that are expressly about a political candidate or political issue. No. It's everything else around it to make those posts take off. Right. You know what I mean? Those posts can only work if you primed your audience to that belief set. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, but it's a product, right? It's a product strategy. It's the marketing around it. And how do we make it profitable and keep it? Because part of it is keeping the audience so you can get them to do the thing that you want them to do later, but selling it to us as it's something that it's like something that we're being nice and giving to you, as opposed to the poison that we're giving you instead, right? Like giving you a spoonful of sugar.
Hey, as we talk right now, the Shade Room thing right here. The CDC is no longer recommending Americans to stay home after testing positive for COVID. A major shift in policy that comes after the country has moved. It's like posting shit to cause outrage and disarray that literally comes to the detriment of public health. Why is you bastardizing talking about the CDC? And it's like the caption, let me know everything I need to know.
One thing I also think to point out that Cassandra just alluded to, and I'm trying to find this, is the dark money behind some of this shit. That there are literal millionaire conservative think tanks funding, paying for space, paying for ads, giving grant money. There's a dude, one of my viewers pointed out to me, on some, and not even want to, because sometimes they want you to be their attack dog. Talk about this nigga, drag him. It wasn't even one of those. He was like, "Oh, this guy's good. You should look at his stuff, whatever." I go look at him, and it's some like, it's. I hate to bring her up. It's on some kidology shit where it's like plausible deniability, conservative nonsense, and I'm like, okay, you don't want to know. It's a long story.
Okay.
And
niggas like, nah.
I go and I look at his background, and I'm like, oh, this dude is like a fellow at the Washington group. You know what I'm saying? Them like conservative college think tanks where they literally breed these figures to come into the world. And he's funded and like distributed and supported by those entities. And that's a thing that's missing. We really need George Soros like they say we do. We got him. Like we need our leftist billionaire dark money, because we're not getting funded like that to do that same work.
And the thing is, though, it's like we have, believe it or not, I feel like I've met the social justice Illuminati. That's what I call the nonprofit industrial complex of this kind of world. Yes, I know them. It exists. It is in fact real. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, when I say, oh, these are conservative talking points that have been handed to people, I'm not being like, this is not hypothesis. Factually, there are people who create the same way we create messaging. There's a specific way that I talk about bail reform. I talk about abolition. I talk about this. I have a script. If you've heard one of my speeches, you'll figure it out. You know what I mean? There's a messaging in the way that you go about talking about something. And the same is true of the right. And they have and the thing about the right playbook is the right playbook is old. And the right play is a long game. Like people the left tends to look at everything like the right just won because last night they decided to be outraged. They got on top of it. No fucking way. Like the left will be tired in 6 months, 3 months, be talking about fatigue and yada, yada, yada. The fucking right will be on some shit 50, 100 years. Like they are still
recycling. Hold it down. They don't change no recipes.
They recycle the same things and they will try the same shit again. Like they will try, because they recognize that it's not about what's the smartest or what's the strongest, about what people hear the most and what you can indoctrinate people into. Like the right is still using the same. If I'm getting ready, my next video is going to be a Greg Abbott documentary, like on what I did on Eric Adams. And in there, I put Greg Abbott's statement next to what the Texas letter of secession is. Same compact theory. They use the same compact theory there. They use it in Brown versus Ward. They use it in cases not. It's the same shit. They have the same playbook. So we're really at this incredible disadvantage, but because the left is not united in that same way, right? It's not that there isn't money there, but not to our credit. It's not our fault, right? The right is very united around specific things, white supremacy, right? Like if you white supremacy misogyny and what falls underneath that. That's all it is. If white supremacy and capitalism is what your goal is, it's about getting to the bag. Everybody could get on one accord because there's no need. Your genuine feelings are not in it. Right-wing pundits and commentators preach a bunch of shit they don't believe in. They do not agree, and you'll know them in real life. I know them. I started out. People know me from Rising originally. These people say things that they don't believe. They don't live their life in accordance with. The left is not the same, right? You talk to all us. We believe the shit that we say in real life. We have that argument. That's why we feel this. We've gone out our way to try to pontificate and message despite not having the backing or not being able to make that money. So you can't get us all. You can't just all buy us all to be like, hey, I'll do your messaging. If we're like, nah, I think that messaging is bad. I think that messaging is
use that.
I don't really fuck with that like that.
I know. So it's not that there isn't money there. So we can't get organized in the same way because there's a bunch of people who genuinely feel different about this versus the right is like, get to this bag and make sure we maintain the status quo in the world order that we believe in, which is white is right.
But no, white is right on the left too.
Yes.
Olay. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you,
and that's also very true.
I know I've worked with people who are so left. The first people that I started working with was a white group of people who hired me because of how I look. They were like, "We need a black face on here." I had just got out of graduate school for new media now. I went to school for broadcast, did that, got that degree, and now we're in a new world where digital media was. So I went and got that degree. These people were like, hey, we want you for politics. Really? I'm like, I don't really do, you know what I'm saying? I liked President Obama or whatnot, but that's where I was in life, right? Over 10 years ago. And then they were like, no, but we need somebody like you, your nails, your hair. And they were basically telling me now they let black people come on like this. They let black people get in the media. That's what they were telling me. They literally sat me down and said, your nails, your hair is perfect. And then you graduated from a black university. Oh, this is going to be great. And that's when Donald Trump had just won. He was serving his first few years, term, whatever his term, his only term. But they sat me down in there, and they only wanted me. That's where I met Benjamin P. Dixon. Shout out to Ben. They only wanted me to focus on Donald Trump content, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, they wanted me to be angry. And they would sit me down. They're like, aren't you mad about what he said about Black people? Aren't you mad about what he said about Haiti? Just get angry and show that on camera. And in the beginning, I would be there like, I would just be in full news mode, like straight ahead we have. And they're like, no, you can loosen up and you can. So then I started to loosen up.
Have you ever seen Scandal?
Then they would tell me to start using, because they would hear me talk to Ben and they're like, yeah, use that voice.
Yeah, they want you to be a particular thing because they're selling. They want, because there's a way that white people want their blackness sold to them. They want us to demonstrate blackness. They want to feel it. Like a comment that stood out to me when we put out the first Olay and Friends, and it's a good comment from our audience. Remember, they meant it positively, but it says a lot. They were like, they feel like they love Olay and Friends because they feel like they're sitting in on a Black conversation they're not supposed to be in the room for, like a barbershop. And that's what they want us to. They want us they want to commodify our blackness and package it to them. But here's the problem: because they don't recognize how we're, despite the fact that they think they're packaging us, they want us packaged in our blackest form of the version of that for their audience. They don't realize how we're being perceived by or like the Black community itself and how we've been characterized there. And so they see this as the antithesis of this, and then it makes us have this large disconnect, right? Because like I remember when I started. I think my first media appearances was on a Black outlet that isn't even here anymore. And that was before when I had a Black weave, like side part or whatever. And those Black outlets that are not successful, that don't do well in numbers, would prefer me there, you know what I mean? And not want me in this form. Meanwhile, white media will embrace me like this to come be, you know what I mean? And so it's like
you're
this,
authentic and real now.
And and then they all come up with things, and I realized that, like, I remember when I was on Rising and I didn't have my locks done at the time because locks cost money, and I was trying to save money to move and get between DC and New York. I was broke as a joke, right? So I couldn't get my hair done, so I had weave, right? I had a wig. And I remember there was a bunch of like Black people who watch, by the way, again, Black people who watch Rising. So this, again, we're in a specific microcosm of Black people, like not. And they're like, oh, I feel like the network made you change, they made you change your hair to this or whatever. They were so upset. This isn't the real me, not my locks. My locks is some hair I buy from the store too. This is not real. But they've created this real, you know what I mean? Yeah. Black image around me and they create a lore, and like everything about you becomes politicized and consumed and broken apart as a character, right? Like,
it's one thing, it's a quick joke is it's not a coincidence that me, Conscious, Odie, the smiling brother, I don't know his name, T1J, like every nigga with sense on the internet is chocolate brown skin with long locks, like 90% of us. And that's not by accident.
Oh no, I've been peeped. You just peeped for it?
For it. All you gotta do is grow them out, get a little tan. You gotta reduce some of the red bone.
I'm already Caribbean. Like them niggas can go and call me goddamn Bob Marley.
So there's a reason why the ladies are going over to Foreign's page, and then they get there and they talk.
No, this is
fact. My page is
the girls Foreign is the girls them sugar.
Yeah, he know what he's selling, and then he gets them when they get over there.
That's the reason why you see me allying like the brick, like I don't like calling her the brick lady, but the brick lady and Megan Thee Stallion. And when you see them numbers go up, I found that out after I made that Nick Sell video. I was just like, yeah, the Black women and femmes, they here. I here for you. Y'all, this is a safe space for you. All the cocoa butter, all the shea butter, you can have it right there. Right there. Don't worry, satin pillowcase right there. Make yourself at home. But
meanwhile, I gotta pull my wife out every third video to remind people I'm not with a white woman.
That's the next part. My y'all nice and dark too. Oh, they hate me. The divestors, oh Lord,
the divestors be so mad.
The divestors be mad when they find out. Say, oh shit, his y'all dark. I'm unambiguously black. I say, Jesus Christ.
It be so frustrating because the divestors, I got so much heat, but I don't be wanting to give them no attention because they're such a small group. But they're like easy to get. Y'all don't got no good arguments at all.
I've made the video about my wife being biracial 10 times.
You made that? Please let me see.
It don't matter.
It's not enough.
It don't matter. So
That's
for
why-
me, I recognize that, like, hey, if in my mind, when it comes to thinking about just like black media, if individuals want to discredit you, they'll make up some shit to discredit you.
Oh,
You see what I'm saying?
Oh,
They
and to
will
be
make
clear,
up some
don't
shit
be
to
a
discredit
black woman with a white man.
Yo,
Woo!
they will spread
they get
that
worse.
lie on you.
My
Listen,
accent is fake right now. Like
oh,
I
they
told you, like,
started saying. No, they started saying that to foreign, and then they started saying that to me. I had to explain. I said it to foreign firms, like, "Oh, that's the thing they do." And I'm like, "You know, we really from that island? Is my real accent?" They'll comment on you. They'll comment on your video and be like, "Stop playing up your accent. It's when you're with foreign that it's cringe." I'm like, "You mean when I'm speaking to another Bahamian and Bahamian dialect?"
Feel me? Hey, motherfucker tell me, hey, consciously don't talk about no more black issues. You swirling with a Mexican. It's like,
oh Jesus!
No, they'll
Nigga,
make up,
what?
no, they will make up these things about you. Like the place that I told you guys I was working at, they hired me because I was black. They fired me because they didn't show up for a while. Me and Ben, we created our black show, Like It or Not. They fired us for doing black content. They pulled me into a room and told me the head of the organization or whatever they were putting together the show. They said that they watched me on mute, and they said that it gave BET. Because my hair, I swear, I was in
That's
the room.
gotta be a microaggression. You could get them on something.
That sounds pretty macro.
Yeah, okay.
Please.
I was, and with that, they took all of the video stuff that we created for them. I didn't even know about monetization at the time, right? All of the stuff, they had my likeliness. I had episodes with 10 million views, all that. I was bringing that to these people and didn't know about monetization. They were making so much money off of us. I found out that I was making the least with these white leftists. These are white leftists, by the way. And you know,
the leftist aesthetic does numbers, by the way.
There was a big problem there. But at the same time, the comment section, they're like, oh, look what these people are saying about you. Is that not angering you? And I'm like, at first, I used to get so mad. And Ben is like, don't go into that. Because I used to be in there like, you guys don't even, just going away. And I had to stop. They were telling me I'm a mutt. They would leave voicemails and say, go back to your country. I did not feel protected by the people that were supposed to be, I'm working for them. I didn't feel protected with them at all. They were so much terrible things from black and white folks, racist, and people who were just hating on me. One guy was saying, my sister, you shouldn't be wearing your nails like that if you just my sister. And I'm like, listen, Hotaps, I don't give a damn, right? I'm here to give the news, and I'm here to go. This is where I'm at. But it's just like, you can't be yourself. You can't do that. And they also didn't want me. They couldn't believe that I was black and I was professional. They couldn't believe that sometimes while being really professional and very newsy, I will go into my South Florida accent. I might say something in Creole. They didn't like that about me. And they would be like, she's doing too much. She's not a real journalist. She's not. Meanwhile, I'm the realest journalist in the panel.
But unfortunately, our audience, like the black community, like mirrors a lot of the same sentiments because that's the thing. It's like they say the same shit. They say the same
Respectability
shit.
politics.
In fact, very often they don't even give you the opportunity, you know what I mean, to say the same shit. Like I've heard those kinds of conversations. Like there was someone recommended me for like a job opportunity in an outlet that was pretty black once, and they said I didn't have the right black woman aesthetic. I didn't have like the and again, it was the locks, it was the this, the blah 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 they want you to do again. And so there are lots of these competing interests and a lot of disconnect between what you should do, and it depends. It's hard to know, honestly, y'all. It's hard to know. That's why I brought y'all.
Well, I think one of the things that's... Go ahead, consciously.
My side, bringing it back, everything we saying that we go through, we giving them the benefit of the doubt. It apply to Shade Room, Baller Alert, the spiritual world. It apply to all them. Everything we saying right now, the tension that we identifying about what people want from us and people don't want from us, is literally that tension. We recognize that when these blog sites post capital P political content, it's folks in the comment section saying, what a nigga shit at. That's not what I'm here. I don't give a fuck about no Biden, no Obama, no Palestine, no give a fuck about no Ukraine. I came here to see who is Ukraine. Yeah, who Krishan fucking right now? What is they saying about the Meg Thee Stallion? And it's just like recognizing
Meek Mill gay.
What you feel me? Like that's the conversation right now though. So it's like us want to talk about this and that.
Is Meek Mill gay?
We don't care about the sexual assault P. Diddy did. We care about is he gay.
because those outlets are huge and they get perceived as like black outlets, right? They're able to manufacture a lot of consent as this is the black opinion, and then the next thing you know, your platform and all the things that you are doing in the interest of black people, really trying to educate them, they damn near calling you against the black community like you are a white liberal operative, you know what I mean, spreading this bullshit. That's how they deal with you. And so then it becomes this feeling like you in tension with your own community, like you bending over, you being, policed and perceived and consumed by white people, and then you feel like you're angering the majority of, the black internet community that are speaking to you, and then what do you do?
I think one of the things that's interesting that we haven't brought up here around the state of black media is that we've talked about the shade rooms and the baller alerts and the neighborhood talks and the Hollywood Unlocks. And then there's a set of black media that's not even run by black people, right? Just selling.
Yeah, stay tuned for that. I got that.
And then also that amplifies and acts as a force multiplier that fucks over black people doing content, right? Because you're not just getting it from the black blogs, you're getting it from white-owned blogs that sell blackness, right?
Like all of them, No Jumper, Vlad.
Making the pressure. So even the diversification is still pushing the same kind of content, right? Which makes it even more difficult and dangerous for folks like you who are trying to offer a different perspective.
What you saying, Cassandra? Are you saying you tired of Boosie talking to Vlad? Is that what you trying to say? So you trying to stop Boosie money from getting that Vlad check, huh? You hate so you being a hating ass nigga, ain't you, Cassandra? Huh?
A Vlad check can't be but like 1/3 of a 100K.
I didn't even know he was white until they put the camera.
Do you think Vlad pays them for those interviews?
Hey, Boosie has claimed. I don't know if he Boosie lying now, because Boosie be lying sometimes. But Boosie has claimed that he's made $1 million from doing interviews with Vlad.
That's a lying bitch.
Boosie has also claimed that he wants his child to be raped by a whole woman.
Right. But so one thing I want to throw out there though that I think a couple of y'all alluded to is we're in a battle for attrition, and it's good that we have these vent sessions. But we also need not neglect that we are doing important things, even if it's a matter of one mind at a time. Because just like the Shade Room has people in their comments talking about who Creation fucking, there's people in our comments that aren't commenting saying, Creation is a whole different rapper.
Creation.
He's white.
Creation.
Yeah, that's a whole different route.
And Blue Versace.
But like there's people in our comments that we're accessing, people that are catching what we're putting down every once in a while. And the way I see it is there's the fact that we're all here with viable platforms in 2024 that didn't exist in 2020. That means something. That is progress. And maybe by 2030, God willing, I'm out the game. I'm out the hood. We ain't pouring out the hood. But maybe by 2030, there's other people like this doesn't look as unique and niche. And, because of the fact that we're making this happen. Because my most successful video used to be this Bo Burnham video, which is definitely all white folks. And now, pretty soon, it's going to be my Black conservatives video. And that comment section is dark as night. And I love it so much. It's mostly niggas mad at me about
to get a mill off of Lauryn Hill.
Right. Lauryn Hill video got a mill off it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like they're out there and it's happening on time. And as soon as YouTube figures out how to get more niggas, we in there. In the meantime,
YouTube is hard, man. TikTok, catch me on TikTok, you feel me? As a matter of fact, why I say this for my producers don't be mad, man. I got a podcast that I'm doing called Black History for Real with Amazon and Wondery. You know what I'm saying? Now, usually, you feel me, we always gonna give space to talk shit about big tech. You know what I'm saying? And they know rocking with Conscious Lee. I'm always, any opportunity, talk some shit about folks fucking up the world, I'm gonna do that. But shout out to them for giving me the opportunity to come on here, you know what I'm saying? And give me an opportunity to proliferate some of this black ass perspective, you know what I mean?
It's a reclamation project. We were claiming some real shit, you know. Like what's the dude that made Sorry to Bother You? I always forget his name. Boots Riley.
Yeah, Boots I love him.
Outright communist, open and clear with it. And all his work says that And he get distributed through Amazon. Like, look, we got to play with the pieces on the board.
That's true. We got to play the game. We got to play the game too. We got to be able to know how to do it. It's funny because I have a show now, like it or not, and but I used to just post it because when the white people took all of my stuff, my likeliness, all of my, I never used any of my personal pages because again, I didn't know about monetization. I didn't know that, I wasn't privy to that. So lost a lot on a lot of stuff, never used my YouTube page. And then when we just put the show on Ben's page. Ben has 100,000 followers, over 100,000 followers on his YouTube. Cool. So that's where we would just distribute the show. What's funny is everybody will be on there. I work with I work with some great white men on the show that Olay actually put me in on. And it's called the Leftist Mafia. And so I work with them. But what's funny is we just get on my show. It's very structured. Right now we're a bit loose, but I'm usually real structured. That's the journalist in me. I'll be like, okay, we're going to start with this and we're going to end with this. This is what we're going to do in between. It's the breaks, whatever. On that show, we could just have a conversation like we're having right now. It'd just be fine. But the views that they all got, and again, and I'm not saying like that's not an issue. I love the guys. It's not them. But I feel like sometimes even the audience feels so comfortable in these spaces and giving to white people more. For some reason, it's like they treat my show, like it or not, as a goodwill show. I'm like, oh no, this is a job. We working too. We're content creators. We're here to, but they will be like, oh, this is great. I love being here. Okay, join the Patreon. But when I'm on that show, the audience feels more compelled to give. It's almost like we're gonna give to the black girl on the show. We're gonna point her out. We're gonna do that. But on mine, it's like, oh, this is good. This is good content. This is quality. We love it. We love it. But then don't want to give, and I don't understand what that's about.
Crackers.
Yeah,
no, that's interesting. That's interesting because like live stream, like money, like me and Unk been on that game, and I know like you like came out of that because it was easier just for you to post whole ass videos to the B-sides than to cut it up because they wasn't making it rain. So it's interesting. I wonder if more white equals more money on live stream. That's an interesting thing.
I think it does.
Yeah, it does. And you know what's crazy? This makes me think of, again, remember I was talking about this, a way you talk about things in mediums, because remember that chick that black girl that got ate the fuck up on TikTok a couple months ago or something because she said the black audience don't pay, you need a white. Remember that?
About the weed that got about the weed.
And everybody was fucking jumping her, and I was like, it's crazy. It's a way you deliver things, is a way you talk about things because
you can smell the anti-blackness in her though.
No, she was not. She was guilty. No, she was guilty. A quick she revealed a lot of guilt. And the anti-blackness, I'm saying it was, you could smell it. You could smell it. But if you got past that smell.
Right.
You couldn't get back. I couldn't get past it.
No,
From
you
the first
couldn't.
video I saw when she was talking about the damn weed, I'm like, sis, that's because you've always been going to struggle weed people. Now you want to act
seen a baby daddy. A baby daddy was like a white guy with a Confederate flag on the wall.
Come on,
hard
somebody.
wig, soft life energy.
On top of that, I would say that like the Conscious Lead platform uniquely was built by niggas, I think. I think that my platform was uniquely built by niggas, and I think that I would not be the Consciously platform without how black people, black gay, black straight, black trans, black disabled, like rock with me. I think that I've been nominated for NAACP Image Awards. I deal with black media all the time, so I feel like shit. It's a.
I think that's why you can't get on YouTube though.
And I was just about to say
because I think Foreign just said it. YouTube just does not have a audience of politically inclined black folks like Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook does.
Yeah,
diverse.
Because for one, I think like I would venture to say that half of my black audience, and I think I have a pretty like at this point I don't know because I've been wandering away from niggas a little bit in the last like 6 months, like handful of videos. But I feel like I'm maybe like 50-50. But I feel like a disproportionate amount of my black audience is very young. Because I think young politically inclined
you got some
people,
old ass niggas inside there.
I got some old heads.
Because they coming for me. They be saying, like, listen here, young buck. And I'd be like, you have to come from FD. And then he say, I came from FD. I'm not like...
Conscious and FD have very black man content. It's very black man, very black man, come here. This is
the gal must be over by my side.
My experience is with black media is they will know me and they will talk to me and they will ask me for op-eds or things or opinions or blah, blah, but they don't bring me on to the spaces, like, or at least not until 15 white people done did it first.
And then I would love to work.
Black
I work alongside. They mention me, whatever the case may be. And it's funny because I'm like, I want to be in that space, but I'm not begging to be in the space because I've been here rocking. That's why you want me on here. That's why you want me on your show, because you had to see my stuff somewhere. So you know, we want to work together. But what they do is they make these people feel like there can only be one. There can only be one strong person in this. There can only be one, and it's like that's the part that isn't fair. While I want my audience to be Black. I love Black men. I love Black women. I'm thinking about I'm going towards shifting towards just doing positive Black news. What I do know is that's going to be a struggle in itself. Just using my platform that I just started on my own is definitely hard. Mind you, I got mad people that rock with me, but moving into my own, they're just like, I don't know the support. I got 2,000 people, over 2,000 now, because I just started my page or started utilizing my page where I'm like, okay, you know what, Rebecca, you got to get your own money. You got to step up your game. But I'm like, I got over 2,000. That over 2,000 is good to me. It's enough for me. If I can, like Risa Tisa was saying, if I can just touch one person, enough for me, baby. I'm going to keep rocking. I want to build my audience, even if it's brick by brick. Even I want to build my audience to be Black. I don't care what kind of conversations. If you're here just hate watching, whatever. I do want a Black audience. I love the white folks that come in and, you know, allies, and they're being taught something.
And spend money.
But I do. But yeah, I want my Black folks to be okay and comfortable to be like, I rock with Rebecca. I'm gonna support her. I want that too. I don't want to be looked like at, oh, I love her, that Black girl doing her thing as a goodwill show, because I'm a content creator too. Okay.
But that's the thing is too, is like perception becomes reality, right? Like even with the whether it be the algorithm or whatever have you, people gravitate towards content creators they think other people watch and do well too after a while, and they think you're successful at it. If they perceive you as not being successful, they stop going to you. You know what I mean? Even the people who are going to you for what it is that they liked, right? So it becomes like there becomes like a limit. I've had this struggle with myself, because FD was telling me this from a long time when I first got on YouTube, like, oh, YouTube don't care for diversifying and this and the next thing, and I'm resistant. But it does become eventually where you have to be aware that you have an audience or something that expect something from you, or they want something from you, because at the end of the day, if they don't want it from you, they're not going to take it from you. It's like, you know, I hate to be out there pulling stuff from 50 Cent, but if
we in the quoting business,
we know you love 50.
We did church.
We know you love 50.
Fun.
Listen,
Churchill got
50 Cent said.
Curtis Jackson
I
once
could be in
said.
the nigga net. So I read, like, in 50 Cent book, 50 Cent talked about why he is so successful by compared to other rappers, and he's like, I could smell when the jig is up, when niggas didn't no longer want it from me. I think I think it was a Crack a Bottle, or I can't remember what song he said it was, but he was like, I performed it abroad and they loved it. They was fucking with it. It was going crazy. There was crickets, you know what I mean, in the States. He couldn't get nobody. And he's like, I realized like how the perception of his or rap or what the game is, after a certain point, they don't want that from me. This is a young man's game. And I needed to figure out how. He's like, that's why I switched to water. I did like vitamin water. He's like, because I don't drink. I don't do this. Let me do this. Let me blah, blah, blah. We figured it out. I think eventually you have to have some kind of awareness. Like, it's great. We're able to create a platform and make and have an audience in a world that would say, just in general, if none of us had platforms and we were asking the mainstream world, they would say none of us could, or we wouldn't be able to garner off like audiences. They wouldn't believe that. But once you have and you do it, you do eventually have to become aware of like who fucks with you, how you're perceived, and who will gravitate towards there and serve them. Because if you don't, then you serve nobody. You just fall off.
One thing Conscious and Rebecca alluded to is the gendered nature of how you're perceived for the politics we tend to dabble in. And there's, obviously there's male privilege, yada, yada, but specifically with Black men, being politically inclined is one of the more slept on ways that Black men have been able to healthily sometimes like claim masculinity. You know what I'm saying? There's this legacy of the Black male leader. And when I look at my comments, the Black male, viewers I collect in between whenever I dare to be nice to Black women or gay people, they're all like, yeah, we need more of this. We need more strong brothers, da-da-da-da-da. And then the Black women say the same thing. Mm-hmm. Until I talk about trans people or share something from Soul Bunny or another creator that's LGBTQ, and some of them same folks this is one of the reasons why I say patriarchy is genderless, although obviously it's more indulged in by a lot of Black men, because they'll come to me in conscious and to a lesser extent foreign, you too good looking. They intimidated by you on so many levels.
Listen, yes, my pretty Bahamian brother.
You gotta be medium ugly.
Medium ugly,
ugly, bro. You ain't medium
when
ugly
you put on
enough.
the aprons, have you seen your comment section? I don't want to hear that shit from you, conscious.
I'm medium ugly, bro.
Drawers.
I'm medium ugly, man.
Listen,
Drawers.
I put porn on an episode, and my girlfriends was like, "I'm not gonna lie to you, I ain't seen nothing but the nigga in the red square."
Wow.
Nigga, hey, be like, I be saying foreign. I don't even know what he's saying. I like looking at him.
Yes,
The thumbnail I had for my desirability video, I had me, Foreign, and Noah, who was
Niggas love Noah.
Oh, niggas love Noah. Like, if you think Foreign's getting love, Noah's white, spicy white. I think Noah's like half Samoan or a quarter some type of East Asian.
Whatever it was, and then do numbers.
And then I'm in the middle, like dad bod, and so I got a couple of gay dudes. They was like, "Hey, FD, we still with you, bro." So I'm like, "Okay, cool, we hit." And then they could monetize that shit. I had to change the thumbnail.
Oh God.
Oh shit! I was saying something important before I got to that fucking
gender. You were on gender and the way that we're perceived and how.
So get back to I think a more important thing is that there is something about Black women's audience, because like I feel like I can still play into patriarchal norms just enough to snag people for a little bit, whereas I feel like Black women's and it's also about who's online, right? And so feel free to correct me on this, but I feel like Black women political content online is much more splintered. And so you end up having to like dabble in different audiences. And I feel like some of y'all might not want to touch on, because I ain't no shade to Kim Foster, but Kim Foster got a lot of divestors. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And she knows.
And she knows. And she's antagonistic to them, but she also knows they're there. And because she gives them what they want. You know what I'm saying? And then like Khadijah.
Hold on, unpackage that. About divestors, what you mean by that?
Divestors you don't know about the divestors.
I'd rather you do it for
you do know. You do know
them.
Lee.
You know how they're the red pill niggas, right? Ooh, wait, women hate them out. We have the divestors are a smaller community of Black women who fucking hate Black men. Divest from the Black community, leave Black men behind. Yes.
And the key is that not a lot of them, but they're more online, I would say, than red pill niggas.
And the hate is crazy.
Yeah.
It's called bullet bags. They say aboard us.
They're part of like a lot of them. I bet you are also like Barbs. Like I guarantee you, there's a
very
huge
conservative
between Barbs. I guarantee you, it's the
Barbs.
same.
If you're watching this, Barbs, that was FDSignifier that said that.
I don't
want no smoke from none of y'all.
Barbs don't like me. There ain't no Barbs watching this. I be on
there. Listen,
came after Olay.
I don't want that smoke.
I want none of that smoke. Listen, it's a lot of communities I ain't scared of, but the Barbs, I don't want no smoke from them. Listen, I have Cat Williams. I have a funny looking white skinned wife. I talk fast. I'm a country nigga. I got some light skinned babies. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
y'all can come at me. Y'all got it. Like y'all got it.
Whatever you need, I got you.
Y'all got it. I'll spot you. Y'all can talk about it, and I will not engage back and forth with y'all.
Yeah, no, it's funny. It's funny trying to appeal to the different audiences and recognizing how different people in different groups online representation is, right? Because like I feel like Black women dominate a lot of the think tank, our intellectual kind of spaces, but the overlap between them and me as a lawyer who's an abolitionist and stuff, there's a lot of carceral feminism that comes out of that side.
Yes.
And that automatically, and so despite that the carceral feminism is so wild on that side that even though I am very much so like I'm for the women, I have a lot of critiques for misogynists in this. They will act like I'm an enemy of them, like you coddle Black men, and then meanwhile there are a lot of Black men on the internet because of the representation of the niggas who would allow this online. Who the minute they see a woman, they're like she hate men. They any kind of critique, they don't hear no nuance. They will be you hate men, and so you just be damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like I remember I put out a video. It's one of my favorite videos on my channel, and it's not one of my best like my best performing videos, but it's about Ja Morant and explaining like the misogyny at play there and the different racism and why like that wasn't fair. And I got no love either way. There were black women that were like, you just coddling the black man, da 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 da. And then it was crazy because there would be black men that critique women like me on the internet, like assume we're against the black man. But when I've noticed that they be the main ones that when a black man finds himself in a situation that's unfair based on the grounds of racism or masculine or anything like that, they be the main ones kicking that black man's back in. They weren't trying to hear it. I'm telling you, to comment just on my, I was like, I don't know who was the audience for this support of the Olay content.
I will argue, Olay, that for us that advocates for different individuals, that we're gonna always be caught in the crossfire when the person we advocating for is not seen as a perfect victim. I think that in every instance, when I'm talking about Sexy Red, talking about, you know what I'm saying, Ro, Sukiana, it's like, to me, and not only black women, you feel me? Right. Even the black men that say or do certain shit, you know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, it's like they've done things that I disagree with, but in this instance, I think they're being wronged. What I find is that there is no nuance. If you did some fucked up shit on Monday, motherfucker, it's Sunday, it's Saturday, we gonna hold you to the fucked up shit you did on Monday, no matter how grotesque or brutalizing you're going through. And I think that's the part that just will be in a hard rock and a hard spot. Like, damn. So what you're saying is that if Ja Morant is married to a white woman, I can't make any analysis about how Ja Morant is being done in media because now I'm just Superman and caping for black men. Yeah. Okay, damn, that's crazy. Okay, now Sexy Red is being done wrong because y'all see her as being a ratchet bitch. I'm from the hood. My sisters identify as ratchet bitches. I'm not going with y'all on, you know what I'm saying? Being real. But I recognize that there are certain people that feel like, hey, you're wasting your intellect, you're wasting your talent, you're wasting your breath, giving it to and advocating for somebody that don't deserve advocating for. And I think that usually it's easier when it comes to like the more ratchet hood like black women. But I find that that's really, you know what I'm saying, across the board. Like even
the scariest worst part? I think, you know what's the worst part, what I realized consistently? The black people that push that the most, that have this idea of who is the deserving black representative and respectability politics, be the main niggas who don't meet those requirements. Like, and that's the thing, right? Why? And then you end up in this silo where they feel like you always talking to the bourgeoisie or the other smart or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, it's interesting because it's the educated niggas and the niggas who can get into these rooms and who do meet the standards for the respectability politics, who be trying to explain like, okay, this is hurting you. And it be the niggas in the shade room comments who can't even be 15 miles within the room or at the table, insisting that these people should be cut off and other. Click on the people who be there like blowing down about who is the right kind of black person and what's they. Click on them and look at their profiles. The shit is crazy.
And being real with you though, this I beef with all the black media. I said simple. This our beef. Our beef for black media is you create standards of legitimacy and credibility that you can't even meet on your best day. And that's the reason why niggas got beef with you, because you create sentiments and climates that are literally anti-nigga, that literally facilitates black death and black incarceration. And you do it in a way where you can't even meet those standards that you've created for yourself. And that's the reason why this shit become so aggressive.
And they get to hide behind the cloak of entertainment, because then when that's the only way they explain what the problem is, the larger context of why it's dangerous, they're just like, oh my god, y'all want to think piece everything, it's just entertainment, this is fun.
Nah,
but it's
they'll do like this. They do like this. Disclaimer: Shade Room does not stand by bullying. It's like, motherfucker, you just called this person, you just called them a maggot, but you said it with the F word. Yeah, you like how you saying?
But
you
then you want to post on Sunday because you play on black folks being religious. You want to post a Christian comment, or you want to post whatever the case. You want to post only TD Jakes and his daughter, and this is what you want to do. But then after that, you go into posting violence, misinformation.
Hey, when he was talking about getting swallowed, they ain't post that shit though. You notice that, huh? He was talking about being swallowed.
No,
they ain't post
the
that.
Shade Room itself was on Twitter, and I will never forget this. They were on Twitter. The person that made the Shade Room, who doesn't even have an Instagram page, logged into their page to go argue with Cardi B, who put the Shade Room on blast for how they were posting her. Mind you, the Shade Room always posts any
and
drama.
JJ Williams did that shit too.
They never posted that. They never posted the issue issue that was big on Twitter between Cardi cussing the woman out. The woman logged into her account just so she can start cursing Cardi out and going just this whole thing. It never made it to the shade room so that they can see the quality of who's actually running it. Yet this person doesn't even have an actual social media page. She was like, I'm on vacation and I just logged in just to clarify some things with Cardi, because it was like a legal argument. And Cardi's like, I'm going to sue the brakes off y'all ass. And then literally, but they didn't post their own drama. They didn't post their own drama on their page. We never
don't. They ain't post TDJ drama either. Like I feel like once JJ Williams, the great JJ Williams, on TikTok and on Instagram, you feel me? Young Jamaican boy come with the listen. If I was still a debate coach at the university, I would give this young man a full ride scholarship and give me 2 or 3 national championships. My point though to him is that he laid out the receipts for Shade Room so miraculously that the same person that did that right there logged into their personal page and started commenting in JJ Williams' comment section talking shit to him. What they did was JJ post went viral. It went viral on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. They went and deleted the post, but they sent in misinformation about Joe Biden. They didn't give any updates, but they kept on basically, I feel like, trying to virtue signal and get people to go shit on JJ Williams. And to me, it's just like this is
how
what
they
we
make
getting
their
at.
money.
Shade Room did like 2 years ago. When I pointed out, I made a viral video about when they were calling the Pretrial Fairness Act for bail reform in Chicago. They were calling it the Purge Law. They were spreading all this fucking like literal fake propaganda from the right and from police saying they can't. The Pretrial Fairness Act hadn't even been passed. Was 6 months away from implementation at the earliest. They were saying they were already the Shade Room on this, and because of the Purge Law, the officers are not able to arrest people for crime and da 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 da. And I put out a video like, look at these lying ass niggas, like, and that goes viral. And that's my thing though too. Even back to how we do stuff is like, even then, to go viral or to speak in their words or to inform people, like if I had just been teaching people about the Pretrial Fairness Act independently of being able to attack the Shade Room for having called it the Purge Law and whatever, it wouldn't have gone viral. They wouldn't have. If you just gave it to them as the information, they wouldn't take it. You know, and so they have to
on it.
Yeah,
but that also shows how cooked we are when that even, like, I remember being the high school teacher when every city in the country was planning a purge like every 6 months.
Yes.
And that would go viral on Instagram. And it's like, oh, we cooked. These media outlets got us, they got us dead to rights at every level, every race. Because let's not forget, as cooked as Black media is, these crackers ran in the Capitol building 2 years ago. or 4 years ago now.
It's like, more outrage about Target, though. It's more outrage about niggas burning down Target or running into a bullshit ass, you know what I'm saying, retail store and stealing, you know what I'm saying, cheap items.
They were at the Capitol. They pay money in rent. Your leaders, your representatives were literally funding and buses to get to the Capitol.
Yeah.
Y'all, this is, but they worry about the wrong things. They will literally make us focus on the fact that Nicki Minaj says she didn't trust the COVID-19 shot or whatever whatever it was. Her cousin of them had a big testicle from it. Right. I don't remember what it was, but they'll make you focus on that. And they say even rapper Nicki Minaj is saying that the COVID, like the drug is
thinks the agenda has gone too far.
Right. Meanwhile, Joe Rogan is COVID denial central, like, to millions of subscribers and viewers.
The number one podcast in the world for the past 10 years, damn near. It's like,
you got Aaron Rodgers, NFL Hall of Fame quarterback, talk about I was immunized because he went to a dark room and took some herbs and spices and meditated. And so now he can't get COVID.
I'm actually curious, though. I wonder if we would go back and look at the archive, what were the Black blogs posting specifically January 6th? In my mind, it wasn't a lot.
It was Black Twitter jokes. It was I remember it was just the jokes from Black Twitter remember it going viral, like the white people falling off the wall. And Black Twitter be getting their shit off.
That shit was funny.
Yes,
it was funny, but it's just like to our point though, it's like
it's gonna be good.
That extremely political thing was only turned into entertainment and was not. We didn't unpackage it. We didn't talk about the political implications. Like, think about it.
To be fair, we did, but those things did not catch the algorithmic or the audience attention. Like we
Exactly.
said that we
And Shade
always
Room
got
didn't either.
political.
And Blog Talk Radio, and I said Blog Talk Radio, but I mean Blog Talk Radio. I mean Baller Alert, Spiritual World, Melanin Shade Rooms. Like
no,
I
but
wonder
those
what they
people,
posted.
but the reason why it didn't catch, you know why? Like you said, it's the algorithm. It's what sells. It's what they can make money off of, and that's going to be us getting our jokes off. Even though we're having this, all of us have had on our shows or with other people the actual conversations. What was real? What was happening? What we're afraid of? What they're constantly wondering, are they going to get any like any reprimand for what they did? Because
Wondering why the police ain't started shooting yet.
we had all of these actual questions, but like you said, it's algorithm based, and also like any conversations that we have around that, they don't want us to. They want to, and a great example of this, Donald Trump recently, how he's talking to black groups while he's campaigning, what they think of us,
like
right?
These shoes,
they think
nigga.
that we like the sneakers, right? And they think that we like criminal records. This is all that we can relate to.
I got 5 indictments. Your cousin got 5 indictments. Both of them.
Yeah, so that's it. So right now they think so little of us, and the bar is so low. They're like, oh yeah, these black folks are thinking it's funny. Let's go ahead and start switching, writing up these legislations. Let's start fucking up things, and the next thing you know, we wake up the next morning, more rights for our reproductive system are gone. Like it's just like all of these things, and this is what I don't like. But what goes viral is the keying about it or all of that stuff. Meanwhile, we're actually having these conversations. They just won't put them. They just won't make them larger.
So here's the thing. I think larger platforms and stuff have the ability to. You have the ability to shape your audience and like feed people different things and show them things and content that they otherwise wouldn't have gravitated towards or whatever have you, right? Like that's why they go and put the academics on the rumble so they could turn people right, like by exposing them to this kind of outlet or whatever. And the same can be done the other way. So for me, the problem is not necessarily that like Charlamagne, or especially not them or whatever. I don't think they're the worst offenders. People give Charlamagne a lot of grief. They need to go give to the rest of these outlets. But I think, and my problem is not with Charlamagne and these people being in the room and having these conversations, right? Because the reality is they have a larger black audience than we have. Right. So I don't, and like very often, I don't think, like I said, in this particular run, bringing us back to the beginning, I don't think what Charlamagne and them has been saying during this election cycle is much different than what the intellectuals have been having the more nuanced conversations about or whatever from the left. You just don't hear from that. And we have this attitude of, like you say, the perfect messenger, the perfect this. People decide what you are. You've done this thing, so they don't want to hear from you on anything. And so I wonder what becomes the responsibility. Do the black media outlets or the black people that do have access and stuff have an obligation to try to increase the number of black people that are there to try and bring them on? Because often what they do is they don't. They have these so much of people are turning to the Joe Buttons, they're turning to the Charlamagnes, they listening to Killer Mike, they doing all these things. And those people bring on right-wing propaganda forces. They bring on right-wing candidates. They, you got Joe Budden talking to Candace Owens, you got them bringing up a right-wing a candidate on the Breakfast Club every other day. Whether those people have any chances of ever winning, doing anything, being influential, but that's who they bring. So I'm wondering how much is the obligation of these people to start changing who they bring or what they do, and what is our role and how we change how we package information? Like, are we being too academic, too in the clouds, and alienating people?
I don't think so. I don't think we're being so academic.
Yeah.
We do need to, like I said earlier, elevate voices within our political realm that sound closer to the Joe Buttons of the world, so that they see themselves represented. But more than anything, I just really feel like apart from massive upheaval in these systems, we're playing a slow game, right? We're playing a slow game where we have to build viable platforms with a whole different aesthetic and rhetoric. And we all of us need to get on Instagram with Consciously. Like every single, like I'm only on YouTube. I be trying to, like I can't get in the game.
It's too much for me. I'm sorry.
No,
and so
I'm on there. I'm on.
But I'm on my way. I'm on my way to Instagram soon with some shows.
But we can all dominate in each one. We need a Consciously on TikTok. We need you guys to be on YouTube. We need some people who are in their Instagram
space.
The
reason why we need to be on Instagram is because here's the thing. Even I can say, I think about my audience in the aggregate, like adding all of the numbers from all my different platforms, but the audiences there are different. My audience on Instagram is very black. You know what I mean? It's very black because that's where the black people are. So eventually, if you talking on Twitter, you talking on YouTube, you're gonna be talking to a bunch of white people. You know what I mean? Like if you want to capture black people, you kind of have that responsibility.
You got to go where they are.
Yeah, you have to go where they are.
Yeah. Okay. So that point, if you want your audience to be black, go where the black people are. But also, I think that we have to be in all these these spaces, right?
Yeah.
Not all at once though. I'm gonna tell you, for me in my house, I'm not about to be doing 6 jobs, playing double dutch, trying to be on everybody's whatever. And I don't want to keep reposting stuff on all the stuff, because sometimes I just want my ass to be out on Instagram. I don't want to be, whatever. I want my Instagram page to be like that, and then I want my YouTube page to be this. So, but at the same time, we do need like a representation in each one of these spaces too. There doesn't only have to be one, but if where you are dominating, it's good. We need Consciously on the TikTok space. People love him and what he does there. And for all of you, the rest of y'all, I know YouTube is where you thrive. Do you know where Olay thrives? Twitter is her world. It's her playground. She tried to leave, but it's always calling her back. That's where she live at. That's just what it is. So, I think that, but we have to be in all these spaces. And if we want to, but you are right about that, Olay. If we want our audiences to be Black, to go into those spaces, to promote where we are most popular at, and, they can come in and be there, or whatever the case may be. But on Instagram, another reason why maybe Instagram would be that place is because the influx of misinformation. Twitter, like nobody's business. The influx of misinformation from these Black sites that are thriving on Instagram. I think that we should. I would love. I don't want to make these people the poster children or the face of Blackness, but on Instagram, for some reason, Spiritual World, who started out posting out Bible verses. Okay, they posting out all the gossip and all that stuff, still under the name Spiritual World. That's wild. But that page, I wish that they would tap into the professionals, like the professionals that we are, and have us in those platforms. That would be a smart move. Not just having one journalist, but having people like us in their platforms to interview, to have these conversations, and then to lead and educate the people who are miseducated in the comment section. That's only right.
And what's crazy is, like, even if you try to be, the funny thing I just thought about is, like, even if you played an inflammatory game as a Black person, right? Like a content creator trying to do it. Not only do you run into the issue of, feeling like you compromise your own values or messaging or selling your soul a little bit to what you originally wanted to do, but eventually your extremity that will make you successful in terms of engagement will be also the reason why they gatekeep you. Because that's the reason Umar brings numbers to everybody's platform, but they won't give him his own show. You know what I mean? Umar been running people's engagement up to dumb long
millions
now or
of
whatever.
views.
Exactly. But they will not give him his own platform. He will not get one because there's a limit to how much they will take of outrageousness from us in a particular direction. You know what I mean? So yeah,
that's a point though. That's a point though. That is a point though. When you think about it,
interesting.
there are a lot of people like that.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Thank you. That feels like a good. Like we can wrap that up on a good point.
We can wrap it up. We can wrap it up.
It's your show, baby
I'm
girl.
hungry. Okay.
Show.
Thank
Dr.
you,
Umar
y'all.
wouldn't appreciate you talking about him like that either.
I mean, I just
he should be the next guest on Olay and Friends. Coming next, Dr. Umar Johnson talking about.
First of all, I would talk to Umar. And
I would too. Swear to God, I'd talk to Dr. Umar.
We probably get along.
I think so.
I don't have my Black sister.
I don't hate a lot. Like, I try to. There's something T.S. Madison was having this conversation with me, and she was saying that the reason why someone like her could connect, like she connects or resonates with everybody versus different voices is because she's like, I'm gonna talk to everybody I'm gonna meet them where they're at. You know what I mean? I could be the nigga on the block. I could be the nigga outside. Yes. She feels like, she said that she thinks that we are too, we have to be prepared to recognize that it's a process, like growing, with people, right? Like, it's like, if you're trying to educate people and you're recognizing that they're not starting where you're starting, you have to be willing to not be trying to evict them from the community when they say things or they do things that are not at where you're at or as progressive. And I think that's a big problem we have on our side. And I don't even mean me as an individual, because I'm a defense attorney. I don't feel a very throw people away, evict people manner about problematic shit. That's why I say I kind of frequent. I could run around and know some people on the nigga net and stuff. It's the audience that you serve that wants you to be that way. That can be, and they will be. I cannot express to you how much times I get the pitchforks because I don't feel the need to fucking violently condemn somebody.
Sometimes they don't be it. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't feel the way they feel about the Charlamagnes and the Breakfast Clubs. That's like kind of dismissal.
You named your favorite comedian and had the whole world
on
your back.
I'm on fire because Chris Rock is my favorite comedian.
It was one of the times, like, I feel like I don't feel sorry for my fellow content creators a lot. But I can think of 2 unique times that I like uniquely felt sorry for Olay. Where I was like, I'm about to call sis, man, because damn, they doing her bad. And I'm talking about Twitter had them times.
To you not too long ago, they will rip us and shoot. They will do that. They'll cancel you. Somebody, I'm not even a big like my 2000 folks. Somebody wrote me because I had on a Zara dress. Yeah, I didn't know what they supported. I put on a Zara dress. I love the way it was fitting my body. And somebody said, "Are we supporting? Is that what we're doing? Are we supporting Zara now?"
Niggas is tearing me apart over Adidas like it's Puma. Like, I mean, like, niggas just act like this is a whole Puma Nazi regalia that I'm wearing right now when it's just Adidas.
There's the thing. Shout out to another persona non grata in the space, Hassan. He had a really good piece of analysis with this, where he was like, we as much as people call themselves leftists, a lot of us have very liberal sensibilities toward the politics being a way to present like a personal brand of goodness.
That's right.
Versus actually the political, goals of the left.
Niggas love us in theory.
Yeah. And so one thing he pointed out is that like that's why there's so much scrutiny over what you consume and who you talk to and things like that, because the argument is where you're validating and promoting their rhetoric and their presence in the media, which, like, critically speaking, I get how that works in some cases, but overall it's more about policing who is a good person to consume.
That's right.
And who is not. And if you manage to be a good person the only way to be a good person to consume is to not have any glaring areas where you can be critiqued to not be leftist enough for my consumption. And that creates this whole other kind of ridiculous world of standards where it's like, listen, I like barbecue.
Yeah.
I cook animals. They are delicious. You want me to give you a long-standing cultural...
They innately take you out of, and that kind of, if you do that, it innately removes you from the Black community, because I'm like, we don't start off like we said, especially for where we from, Bahamians are conservative. Like Bahamians ain't believe the shit that, we are not representative of a Bahamian view set, like, for example, like with the Chris Rock thing where I got attacked because I said, this is what I said. I said, Chris Rock is my favorite stand-up comedian, so I'm so excited for this new stand-up. You don't know the amount of Black women that I don't know from a fucking hole in the wall that came out talking about they always knew I was a misogynist and I was anti-Black. They just could tell something about me. They could feel it. They could blah, 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 blah. Just because
Chris Rock is a sucker. If you like suckers, you a sucker too.
You know what gets my nerves? I feel like everybody, like the left has a tendency to want to act like they don't know how to be good defense attorneys. Like they think that to be able to defend Will Smith from obvious anti-Blackness and police and racism and how he was being perceived and policing him, they feel like they have to vilify Chris Rock, right? And it's like, you can't just critique Chris Rock for the joke or that you can point out times in his history where he's had views that you can see where there's misogyny in that with good hair or blah, blah, blah. It can't be this critique in there where someone has an area to improve on. It has to be now, this person has never done anything valuable. They are overall anti-Black and they're not for the Black community. And I'm like, where the fuck are you getting it from? I've been watching Chris Rock stand in my entire life. This is one of the most very race conscious, observe this, da-da-da-da-da. But it becomes that, and that's a dangerous game to play, because who will meet those standards? What Black creator, thinker, who in the Black community is going to meet that, And then how do we maintain our own community audience if everybody in the Black community, we are expected to take to task, and condemn outright and give no room for growth? Because a lot of people, there are a lot of people and figures that have done problematic things and have come out, apologized, explained on their own voluntarily how they've changed and they've learned to change, and they will just nonstop. This person should be
hold it over their head forever. Yeah,
Martin and Malcolm in this environment. Martin and Malcolm wouldn't make it.
No, you want to talk about? It's not just Martin and Malcolm. You want to talk about every aspect. You want to talk about Bell Hooks was a landlord.
Oh, yeah.
George Jackson was a misogynist. Kwame Ture, low-key misogynist. Martin King,
about the niggas.
You know what I'm saying? All these niggas have serious problems. Fucking W.B. Du Bois, my favorite Nigga
He a
was in
sucker.
eugenics.
He was a sucker ass nigga, man. W.E. Du Bois was a sucker. I'm talking about.
I don't know if you really mean that now.
Nah, listen. This new episodes I just did. Nah, W.E. Du Bois.
But they will blow down on those niggas. They will
He got some sucker shit. I'm sorry, we get on top.
He sold off his daughter, bro.
I know that shit was fucked up.
They will blow down on those niggas and then use them. They will blow down on them and then in the next breath deify all the dead leaders and thinkers so that they could vilify the present day ones. Because like sometimes you'll be saying something trying to explain like where there should be some space for, especially with like creatives and artists and in this world where they want you to take a stance on everything. And if the people online are mad about something, you need to express that you're mad about it or take a stance or whatever else you did that was completely independent of this thing. You're a bad guy, and they'll be like, oh, Nina Simone did this and Prince did this. I'd be like, Nina Simone was married to a fucking cop. Like, y'all would tear her apart in present day. Right. You know what I mean? Nina Simone beat the brakes off a child. Y'all would tear her apart. But you see what I'm saying?
My favorite is Prince is the most homoerotic homophobe ever.
Yeah.
Prince was so homophobic in same time.
Meanwhile, incredibly homophobic. Wearing all the outfits. He was
ass out talking about being homophobic.
But here's the thing: Black folks will get online. I can't say it's only Black folks, but when I see white people do it, we be the ones making a scene. We have to cancel. You can't do this. You can't. And white people too. They expect something for their beloved Black content creator. They expect things. They expect you to be some kind of way. And then Black folks would be fighting and like saying that we got to cancel people. They would be. They also hold up picket signs and be like, no, we can't F with this person. Meanwhile, I know for me, Rebecca Azor, I know if they go back to my early 2000s tweets, cancel me tonight, because I grew over time. I understood. I went through life experiences. When I was like 19, 18, 20, I didn't know what I was talking about. I was taught the things that were probably instilled into me from my family, from the church, or whatever the case may be. I went through life. My mind changed. I got Jesus for myself. I got niggas for myself. I got work for myself. I got all these experiences have changed how I think. Now I understand what bills are. But me back in the day, people will tell me why are we taking anything from Rebecca when she was about this age? This is what she said. Why are we listening to what she's saying? So it's ridiculous.
Yeah, child. I don't know how we do it. I don't, because I feel like there becomes a point where sometimes I realize people are not really listening. They're not listening to us for what they're hoping that we mirror what they already think and feel. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You're my chosen avatar and you are supposed to affirm what it is that I think and feel in my experience, and having to like trying to exist in a space where, especially if you're considered like a leftist creator or a leftist thinker like we are, exist in a space where your audience feels like there's all this accountability and you need to be able to hear this and blah, blah, blah. And so and everybody has this idea that, it's arrogance if you don't listen to them and you don't take their feedback and their criticisms and it's constructive and they're calling you in. But it's like, nigga, I have hundreds of thousands of people on this here internet trying to tell me how to be. All of you have a different viewpoint and you feel adamant about it. You might ask, like, what the fuck do you do?
Yeah. People don't understand. And this is something people don't understand, that this is such an unnatural medium to communicate through.
That's right.
And we still don't know. Like, this shit is really new. We're 10 years deep in this. Like, you talking about Twitter. Like, I'm happy I was late to Twitter, because 2012 FD would not survive modern Twitter world. I'm so happy I thought Twitter was lame at the time. Right? I didn't get on Twitter, so I started making content. And so, like, we don't know how any of this works. And I'm hoping it's not going to be like this for a whole lot longer, because this shit can't continue, because it's impossible to communicate complex, nuanced ideas when the mediums themselves, shout out to CJX, when the mediums themselves are really only built for engagement, and engagement is more about eliciting strong emotions. The easiest one to do that is anger, and then like maybe lust, right?
Yeah.
Everything else after that is a whole lot extra work. So how can we translate this nuanced, thoughtful take you had, Olay, into I hate Black women or I hate Black men?
Exactly.
So we're gonna draw a line to that.
But point out that struggle is really for Black content creators, Black media. That struggles for us. I can go on TikTok and watch a white woman literally stare into the camera and look at how many views she will get, and watch a Black woman do the same thing and get nada. But listen,
Yeah.
they
But that's
call
life
her
for us.
monkey.
So back to Cassandra's original
Exactly.
point about life. In life, we have to work and be 6 times, you know.
we got to do
Twice as
everything
hard
harder.
to
So
get
Yeah.
as much.
It's a conveyor belt. It's a product. And unfortunately, content creators are, you're not just
Your
doing the
commodities.
creating, you are being created, right? And so I
Yeah.
think part of the thing that's really hard is like when y'all are pushing back against that, which y'all should, it's part of the conversation where it's just like nothing about this meta world is different than the other world. And it's like a conveyor belt, and people want to consume Blackness in a particular way. And Black people that are trying to get other Black people to consume things are following those same rules. And that's the shit that's really fucked up, because it's like, we should do better, but people want to get to the bag. They want to build the audience.
Gotta do
You
it.
know what works.
Can't beat them, join them. Like,
No, that's facts. No, you're right. Y'all are right. Y'all are right.